भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Welcome everybody. So this is the 13th session for the book titled Satyam Shivam Sundaram, and Mr. Kirtiha will be starting from the volume 2, page 54. So I'll be sharing my screen shortly. Let me know when you see it.
Thank you. In 1964, when the Upanayam rite was again arranged, 300 boys were so blessed. In 1965, the number increased to 450. The festival is made unforgettable for participants as well as spectators by the shower of love with which Baba greets not only the boys who are initiated, but even their parents and relatives. He makes up for all ritual lapses of the parents, like disregard of the naming right or ear boring right or tonsure right. He overwhelms the parents with gifts. He does not allow any display of wealth by the richer parents, lest the poorer are cast into gloom during the auspicious occasion. To have the rite performed in the divine presence is itself a unique gift, and many a devotee has felt sad that he has aged too fast. Many are depressed that their children have undergone the rite already and have therefore rendered themselves ineligible for the great chance. Baba's grace flows spontaneously towards the assemblage of brahmacharis. He gives each of them ceremonial clothes, ritual vessels, mementos, and books, besides what is treasured as most auspicious, the inaugural Bhisheka alms, when each boy starts the mendicant career that day, as prescribed in the Shastras for every seeker during the year of Vedic study. The boys walk up in a long line to Baba's presence, and after introducing themselves in traditional style, mentioning their Gotra, Sutra, and patron Rishi, pray, Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi, Ma, give me alms. And Baba, as Vedamata and Annapurna, fills their plate with grains of rice. Baba insists that the newly initiated prostrate themselves before their parents. He explains to each boy at that particular moment the Vedic command Matru Devo Bhava and Pitru Devo Bhava, meaning, may your mother be your God, may your father be your God. The boys, as well as the parents, are visibly moved by this act, which Baba considers as important as any other items in the ceremony. Then he places in the hands of the boys gifts which they pass on reverentially to their parents. More memorable than all these, especially to the brahmacharis, is another spontaneous gift from Baba, a blessing that he alone can grant. Baba calls each boy to himself, even when the number is 450, and in the sublime silence, he whispers into the ear of the child, fresh from his first lesson in Vedic recitation, a sacred mantra he instructs him to keep secretly to himself. He has to repeat it with Shraddha and Bhakti every day of his life. Many an ardent seeker has striven long to get mantropatesha from the avatar of the Lord, but they still await the gift, while these chosen boys on the threshold of the kingdom of God within them acquire the key which will help them to enter it through the loving grace of Baba. The Upanayana festival is also marked by the discourses by eminent pundits on the Gayatri as well as on the need to regulate and restrict the wild senses by the discipline prescribed in Dharmashastras for the twice born and others. Baba too discourses on these and kindred topics. His advice is directed towards the elders, who, by their neglect of this rite, have brought about the downfall of the magnificent edifice of Sanatana Dharma. A gentleman from Mysore had not initiated his 7 sons into the Gayatri without any resentment. Baba invited him to bring all of them to him, for, as he said, it is never too late to start on the Godward journey. His sons, ranging in age from 28 to 8, were all led into the sacred path. He wanted that parents too must perform the Sandhya rite and repeat the Gayatri mantra for their own good. The boy should not be made to feel that this was a chore invented for tormenting him. Do it cheerfully with the evident relish. Learn the procedure from these boys, from your children and grandchildren, for your own sake and for the sake of human community. Start Sandhya today with Gayatri Japa and continue it with increasing fervor. I know how systematic you are in eating and drinking. You take pretty good care of the body. I do not condemn it. I only want that you should take equally good care of the needs of the spirit. The Gayatri is a Vedic prayer that has been addressed to the effulgence that is immanent in the universe by millions during millennia throughout the length and breadth of this land. It prays not for health or wealth, happiness or victory, but it prays for awakening of intelligence. It is a prayer which all men in all lands can well adopt. Mr. J.B.S. Haldane has written that the Gayatri can be carved on the doors of every laboratory in the world. May intelligence grow, prevail, and ripen into wisdom, and save mankind from perdition. Baba does not hide his displeasure when he finds that a Brahmin, Shastriya, or Vaishya is not performing the Sandhya rite and repeating the Gayatri during the rite. Fear of that displeasure has persuaded many who come to Baba to resume the Sandhya, brushing their memory in haste from books or from their own children. And when Baba surprises people with the question, "Are you doing Sandhya?" many have to accept the lapse and promise to correct themselves. God is said to love the returned prodigal. Baba encourages, by special marks of grace, those who come into the Sandhya discipline. For example, a person from Simoga town came to him to get his blessings for a venture that he had set his mind upon. Baba surprised him with the question, "Are you doing Sandhya?" And he hung his head, "No, Baba, though I have been enjoined to do it years ago on the Upanayanam day," he said. "Well, it is not too late. Start as soon as you reach home," Baba ordered. The rite took about 20 minutes and had to be done 3 times a day at dawn when the sun was at his zenith, and at dusk. Rao kept the promise he had given to Baba. He did Sandhya with growing devotion and pleasure. After some time, he felt that a linga, which his grandfather and father were worshipping ritually every day for many years, should be retrieved from the limbo to which he had consigned it. He recovered it, he filled it with his devotion, he offered flowers and fruits, and poured sanctified water on it with the appropriate mantras. Baba willed to grant him tangible proof of his appreciation of this laudable advance. The color of the linga changed from opaque dark into golden transparency, and very soon inside that round topped little cylinder of hard translucence, Baba allowed himself to be entangled. For months now, thousands have seen inside the linga a lovely, captivating picture in brilliant color of Baba with a sweet smile in the center of a halo of mellow golden light. Apart from the day fixed by Baba for Upanayanam of the boys who are brought to Prashanti Nilayam, Baba confers the boon on other days also, if devotees yearn for it and if he feels the boy deserves it. On Shankara Jayanti day, the birthday of the great Shankaracharya, who revived Hindu religion and built Hindu philosophy and culture on the unshakable foundation of basic unity of Advaita, he seldom refuses this boon. Baba considers the ceremony of opening the inner eye of the rising generation to be so important that he even reminds parents of their obligation to initiate their children and calls upon them to celebrate the Upanayanam. This he does both directly and indirectly. Take, for example, the telegram received by Sri C. Ramachandran of Kirki, Pune. On 26 April 1965, when I went to my residence at lunch break, writes he, both my sons came running forward excitedly and put into my hands a telegram which had been just received. The telegram ran as follows: Sri Sathya Sai Baba arriving at your residence on 5th May to attend Upanayanam of your sons and give them Brahmopatesham. The words Satya, Upanayanam, and Brahmopatesham were underlined in the telegram. I had never discussed with anybody the question of having the Upanayanam of my sons performed during the summer, although I had a keen desire to perform it as early as possible. Since this function was already overdue and had been put off during the last 2 or 3 years, I had not made up my mind whether it to have it performed at Shirdi or Palani, my family shrine. I was therefore surprised to find that the place and date had been fixed by the sender of the telegram. We were overjoyed at the prospect of having Baba with us for the function. On inquiry, Sri Ramachandran discovered that the person who was responsible for sending the telegram from the Central Post Office, Pune, had described himself as a person in transit with no permanent or local address, and that when the postal authorities pressed him to give an address, he had written his name as Sri Margathavelu, care of All India Sai Samaj, Mylapore. Hesitant to neglect so mysterious a manifestation of Baba's grace, of which he was well aware through other more concrete instances like Vibhuti emanating from the pictures of Baba in his shrine room, Ramachandran decided to have the Upanayanam of his two sons celebrated on the 5th May as directed, and Baba gave proof of his presence. During the evening bhajan, everyone in the gathering of nearly 1,000 people had a peculiar feeling that the sofa kept on the platform for him was not vacant. When Arti was over, he found that the new silk sheet spread had been creased in such a way that we could clearly make out that Baba had been sitting there. Besides, the ring of jasmine flowers, which was placed on the right arm of the sofa, as is generally done at Prashanti Nilayam, was crushed just as if his hand was resting on it. A sign is enough for those who seek. Writing about the Dharma Stapana, for which Baba has come in human form, we have to devote special attention to the Academy of Vedic Scholars established under his guidance, which is fast spreading its beneficent activity from one state of India to another since 1964. It was on the sacred day of Ram Navami when 1 million homes all over the country were celebrating the incarnation of Rama, described as the embodiment of Dharma, that Baba revealed his intention. He was at Rajamundry on the Godavari River, and that day at dusk he entered a motor launch with a number of learned pandits and scholars. When we reached a patch of dry sand, we saw an island bathed in cool moonlight, set in the dark blue background of the river above the Dholeshwaram Anicut, and there, seated in the center of the circle of adoration, Baba spoke on the state of the world and of India, which must guide it with the lamp of Sanatana Dharma. We must reform the habits of man, reconstruct his character, recondition his ideals and modes of living, help him regain the spiritual heritage which he is now encouraged to ignore by protagonists of material prosperity, and monetary happiness. He said, he created from the sand before him resplendent idols of Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, and Anjaneya. Then he created a charming idol of Nataraja, the dancing Shiva, symbolizing the energized universe that expands and contracts or breathes in harmony with the divine will. Then, in the climax of that sublime silence, he announced that he had decided on the establishment of the Prashanti Vidwan Mahasabha at the All India Academy of Vedic Scholars, who will strive to awaken humanity to the need to attain the Prashanti, inner harmony and equipoise, which has its Nilayam abode in the Sanatana Dharma enshrined in the ancient scriptures of India. Surely a great moment in the history of this age. Baba had given indications even in the 40s that he would rebuild Vedic Dharma on a stronger foundation. In 1955, on the first day of October at 9:30 a.m., as recorded in my diary, Swami Amritananda ran towards me after an interview with Baba, gasping with joy. He said, I had a big sum of money with me, which Bhagavan Ramana Maharishi advised I should use for Vedic revival. I had invested it in the Benares Bank and later with some trusts. I had consulted Madan Mohan Malaviya, Bhagwan Das, and Bal Gangadhar Tilak about the scheme, but somehow my plan did not fructify. Just now, Baba told me unasked all about my unfulfilled yearning. He said, do not worry anymore. The task of Vedic revival is no longer yours, it's mine. The Swami Amritananda died peacefully within 2 months of the transfer of this burden. In January 1960, a great Sanskrit scholar from Sorbonne, France, Valestin by name, who was in India to translate the commentaries on the Veda into French, arrived at Prashanti Nilayam. One evening, during an interview with Baba, he suddenly caught Baba's hand and pleaded, Baba, Vedic scholarship is fast declining in this holy land. You must revive it. You must foster it. I was there nearby. I felt that East and West were also there, awaiting with palpitating heart, wondering what reply Baba would vouchsafe. For the Vedas are for the Vedas are for both East and West, for all mankind, and Baba did not disappoint us. He said, I have come for that very purpose, for Vedic revival. It shall be done. I will do it. Wherever you are, you will know of it. The world will share that joy, that light. The Sabha was formally inaugurated at the Swadaya Saptayajna during Dashera festival 1965. About 200 pandits had assembled at Prashanti Nilayam for the convocation on 20th October. Bhavani, said Baba, gave a sword into the hands of Emperor Shivaji, commissioning him to venture forth and uphold Hinduism. This Shiva Shakti is today giving these pandits the sword of courage and commissioning them to go forth and revive Dharma in the world. I am sure this Sabha will move forward from victory to victory, for it is contributory to my work. In all lands, the true sense of values has to be restored, and faith in the divinity of man has to be implanted. This is the work for which I have come. The world has to be saved from the consequences of limited knowledge and of blinding pride that precedes a fall. The world is parched desert, calling out for rain. This Sabha will give each thirsty mouth a cup of solace and strength from the well of the Vedas and Sastras. He condemned this criticism, Vedic rites, rituals, and teachings as superstitious. The Vedas are the root of Dharma. If the roots are injured, the tree will die. They give Ananda and Shanti that are lasting. They give Ananda and Shanti that are lasting and sustaining. He said, they transmute all activity into worship of the Supreme and save man from unending desire and inexplicable sorrow. He said, "Know thyself instead of the sun and moon. That way lies the road to Ananda and Shanti." The purpose of the Akhila Bharata Prashanti Vidwan Mahasabha was clarified by Baba during the discourses that he gave on the days following the inauguration while presiding over the lectures that the Pandits gave on the subject suggested by him from Vedic and Vedantic texts. The watchword for the Sabha should be, he said, the prayer that is mentioned in the Vedas as rising, however, indistinct from every human heart. Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya, from darkness lead me unto light. Eradicate ajnana, the ignorance of the universal that is the basis, the ocean of which the individual is but a wave. Light the lamp in village after village. Instill faith in man's freedom from grief and pain, that is to say, instill faith in the Atma and the Atma Tattva. Share your learning and experience in love and sympathy with the people who are hungry to know and be saved. Remind them of their worth and work. We are not to condemn anyone's faith or to develop any new sect. Foster the positive attitude in spiritual effort. Faith is a precious plant. A gust of harshness will make it wither. Be kind, be considerate, promote love, tolerance, service, sacrifice, wherever you find them in the heart of man. These pundits have at last attained the fruition of their long study, for they have secured this medium, this sabha, for sharing their joy and their wisdom with their brothers and sisters. They have been allotted districts, and the central committee will be supervising the program and progress. They will sow in all cultivated hearts and the seed of karma kanda and upasana kanda and the jnana kanda of the Vedas of Dharma as expounded in the Manu Dharma Shastra and other texts, and of the glory of God and man as explained in Bhagavata, the Mahabharata, and the Ramayana, he announced. Turning to thousands of devotees who had come from all parts of India, Baba said, "They sow the seeds, but you have to tend the young crop. Feed it with manure of manana to rid it of pests like greed and pride. Harvest the happiness of love and establish yourselves in the prashanti that the nourishing grain ensures." Baba recognized that the pundits must grow experienced in the art of explaining the essentials of scriptural teachings to the masses in small, easily assimilable doses that are relishing. He warned that unless the pundits took care to practice what they preached, their discourses would be exercises in sheer hypocrisy. The people, too, have to be trained in the art of listening to short, straight spiritual discourses which arouse the desire to practice what is taught. For as Baba said, the great sins are hypocrisy, spiritual weakness, self condemnation, and cowardice. These can be cured only by the awareness of one's inherent divinity, which can never be harmed by passing clouds of depression, Baba declared. This Prashanti Vidwan Mahasabha is not something new. It is Sanatanam. It is now once again set on the age-old mission. This work of Dharma Stapana is being done over and over again. You now have the chance to share in it. So join this great task and make your lives worthwhile. That call was irresistible. Towns and villages vied with each other in asking for the chance to arrange meetings and seminars for the benefit of their citizens. The members of the Sabha were already famous over the length and breadth of the land. Dr. B. Ramakrishna Rao, a great social worker and political leader who served the people as Chief Minister of Andhra and Governor of Kerala and Uttar Pradesh, is the president of the Sabha. He has a central committee of pundits who have earned enduring fame by their scholarship, speeches, and writings of Vedic scholars like Upuluri Ganapati Sastra, who was honored as Amnayarta Vashtapati by his colleagues. Koluri Someshkara Shastri, honored as the Kulapati by his grateful students Bulushu Appana Shastri, known as Darshana Lankara, the renowned translator and commentator on Shankara's Gita Bhashya, Ramila Surya Prakasha Sastri, honored as Sangha Veda Vidya Bhaskara, Varanasi Subramanya Sastri, who by his unexcelled scholarship relating to the work of Vyasa is celebrated as Bala Vyasa, Gandikota Subramanya Shastri, the doyen among Dharmak Shastra scholars and the masters of Vedic lore, Prishapati Krishnamurti Shastri, a great expert in astrological observations and calculations according to all schools of the ancient science and others. To bring such a galaxy of stars into the same orbit was itself an achievement made possible only by the unique attraction which Baba's divinity exerted on them, all with equal force.
Sister, shall we move on to the next video?
Sai Ram. The inaugural meeting where the Pandits carried the message to the people at large was held in the immediate presence of Baba himself at Ventagiri town, in the palace Warangal under the chairmanship of the Raja Sahib Venkatagiri. Baba mentioned that the citizens of Rajamundry on the Godavari were hoping that the meeting would be held in the town, since the Sabha was resolved on the sand of an island on the bed of the Godavari on Sri Ramana Vami last year. But like all good things, this chance is not so much by present effort, but by merit accumulated through years numbering centuries. Baba said Venkatagiri has been for centuries the seat of a royal family dedicated to the support and protection and promotion of Dharma. Consider how many temples were built or renovated and maintained by its munificence. Take count of the Pandits it has patronized so far and the number of religious books its donation has helped to reach the masses. See the interest the family takes even now for the upkeep of temples and mutts, although the state and status has been overwhelmed by the storm of political change. No wonder that when the Madras State Prashanti Vidwan Mahasabha was inaugurated 6 months later, Baba selected the vast grounds of the Venkatagiri Palace in Madras city as the venue. The Mysore State Prashanti Vidwan Mahasabha was inaugurated at Brindavan Whitefield near Bangalore on the 13th April 1964 under the chairmanship of Honorable Sri B.D. Jati, then Finance Minister of Mysore State. Inaugurating the Sabha, Baba said the link between the Pandit and the politicians, the religious leaders and the ruler had snapped and each goes his own way, irrespective of what the other thinks or feels. Long years of foreign rule during which the Pandits were derided as symbols of an outdated culture contributed to the widening of the gap. But even after that rule ended, nothing had been done to reestablish the link. Sunk in the search of passing pleasure and cheap recreation, people have become deaf to the counsels of the past and the call of the sublime. Unless the people are trained to direct their newly won opportunities into channels of service and self-control, there will be large-scale moral breakdown. When the 5-year plan stud the land with dams, power stations, furnaces, and factories, we must have a plan, a well-thought-out plan for the moral education and spiritual uplift of the nation in order to avoid moral disaster. At the inauguration of Mahasabha in Madras State, Baba declared man's ambition to conquer outer space even before he has understood fully his own nature will lead him into great disaster. No knowledge, however impressive, which refuses to acknowledge the existence of God can be safe and sustaining. Baba declared the Mahasabha was also established with blessing at Hyderabad, the capital of Andhra Pradesh, at a meeting presided over by the governor, Sri Pantam Thanupillai. The Maharashtra branch of Vidwan Mahasabha was inaugurated by Baba at the Shanmukhananda Hall, Bombay on the 7th of June 1965. A committee under the chairmanship of Honorable Shri P.K. Shravan, Minister of Agriculture, Government of Maharashtra, has been formed with the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, the Chairman of the Legislative Council, and others as members. Sri Savan is an ardent devotee of the shrine at Shirdi, where Baba lived and taught the way to God. As Sai Baba, Sri Savan was a member of the Shirdi Samsthan Trust Committee, and for some time he was its chairman. The trust manages the affairs of the unique shrine that has grown around the Samadhi, tomb of the Sai Avatar. When therefore Savan heard that the master had taken human form again, he was naturally cautious about the claim. His curiosity, however, took him to the bungalow of a devotee with whom Baba had stayed for 3 days in May 1960. There Savan joined in the bhajan. He went through the album and photographs depicting Baba's activities. He saw a few hundred feet of film recording Baba's visit to Badrinath and the yagna, which was celebrated at Prashanti Nilayam then. He was taken in the very room where Baba had stayed during those 3 days. It is kept as if he had just left the place in perfect readiness to receive him any moment. While in the room, Savan was offered the vibhuti brought from Prashanti Nilayam, kept in a small receptacle there. Naturally, he opened his mouth to receive it, but his breast was suddenly afflicted with an understandable pang of doubt whether, as a stone devotee of Sai Baba Shirdi, he would now take in the udi consecrated by a stranger who claims to be the same Baba come again. There are Babas and Babas, he felt spurious, pseudo-authentic, and dubious, pitching their claims to reverence on all manner of unprovable relationships. We'd not be surprised when a devotee with Savan's steady faith in Sai Baba was harassed by doubt. We must indeed be thankful for his hesitation. For just at that split second, in order to convince him that the Satya Sai at Prashanti Nilayam is Satya truth, the same as the Sai Baba Shirdi, a long bright flash of light emerged from the right palm of Bhagwan Satya Sai Baba in the picture hanging on the wall of that room above the heads of Dr. D.J. Gadya, who was offering the Udi, and Sri P.K. Shravan, who was outwardly ready, through inwardly undecided to receive it. That flash scattered all argument against the identity of the two Babas. It shattered the dark clouds of doubt and hesitation. Someone received the Udi. Some months later, Prashanti Nilayam Baba declared the depth of the devotion of Savan to that body and his body of the same Sai is known only to him and me. Shravan attended the inauguration of the Mysore state branch of the Prashanti Vidwan Mahasabha, and so he was happy that a branch of the organization founded by Baba was started in Maharashtra. He and all who shared the thrill of that day were glad that the grace of Baba had descended on the Maharashtra again, and that new era had dawned for the Pandits of that state who would share in the revival of Dharma under his auspices. The Vidwan Mahasabha had been actively promoting lectures by Pandits in several towns and villages. A seminar for about 20 of them was held for a week to suggest subjects on which they could speak to the people, selected from the vast reservoirs of scholarship that they had each stored in themselves, and suggest methods of presentation that would receive response. Baba invariably encouraged the people, the organizers, and the Pandits either by his physical presence and discourses or by some sign of his presence. The district committees would arrange discourses in the headquarters towns of taluks, for the devotees in the taluk headquarters would carry the message in the villages around. Thus, the disciplines and ideas of the Upanishad had been planted among agitated communities in area orchard gardens and coffee plantations, rice fields, factories, suburbs, university campuses, pensioners' colonies, pilgrim centers, and professional clubs. Where formerly the audience at the meeting that those Pandits addressed could be counted on the fingers of one hand, and were in every place the same few were the only ones attached. The meetings of the Mahasabha now drew tens of thousands in town and all the population in the villages. For the discourses were in the language of the people and was simple and useful, directly affecting the daily life. Baba's device present gathers hundreds of thousands to his discourses, for they are the authentic Upadesh of the Lord. As Baba declared at Venkatagiri, the establishment of the Vidwan Mahasabha is an epoch-making event, for it is not less than the dawn of the golden era of the liberation of humanity. The liberation of humanity from the petty pole to which man has condemned it, deciding wrongly that he is the sheet and not the sword, the body and not its occupant. This is the very purpose of Baba's advent in human form. Baba has revealed that the repositories of ancient culture, Indian culture, are his instrument for this purpose. During his Tamil Nadu tour in the village of Surandai, he encouraged Vedic Pandits to recite Vedic rigs in the Ghana mode and rewarded them with medallions of gold. Similar medallions are awarded by him to Pandits on the conclusion of the recitation of rigs at Aki Ripal and at Rajamundry. In 1963, at a Vidwa Parishitak assembly of scholars held at Rajamundry, he gave to each member robes of honor, encouraging them to apply themselves to the study and exposition of the Vedas and Sastras. In 1960, he presided over the College Day celebration of Markandeya Oriental College. While welcoming him to that institution, Dr. S. Bhagavatam, whose father was the founder of the college, the great scientist, now scientific advisor to the Defense Ministry of Government of India, said, "Whenever I went to have Baba's darshan, I was amazed to find around him groups of people from all countries and professions, great and small, rich and poor, sick and healthy, young and aged, and pundits filled with academic conceit, wondering how all their learning is found useless before this all-knowing one. They wondered, and the wonder ripened into devotion. Baba has blessed by his presence the Nirajana Bhajana Mandali at Madur, the Shiva Nama Japa Saptaha, week-long continuous recitation of the Lord, of the name of God, at Sri Sailam and the Gita study circle at Nainital and the Hindu Samaj Rajamundry. Sanatana Bhagavat Bhakta Samajan, Association of the Dedicated and Devoted of the Krishna Guntur district, has been taken by him under his benign care. Baba has also graced the Yagya celebrated by devotees of Rajamundry, Venkatagiri, and Srinivaspur. He visited the Sanskrit Patashala and the Vyasaram at Purdue. When the Banaras Sanskrit University arranged the Akhila Bharata Tantrika Mahasabha, it sent Swami Dattatreyayi to Prashanti Nilayam to invite Baba to be present and bless the Sabha. Though Baba had often declared this is the age of Tantra, he had to send the Swami back disappointed. The organizers of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad approached Baba for joining the group of Swamis who were guiding it. Baba told them that he had come for the very purpose of reviving the ideal of Hinduism and setting it on the road of victory. I am every moment doing the very thing that you have now in view. When the Telugu Vignaya Samiti Malleswaram honored some members of the Central Committee of the Prashanti Vidwan Mahasabha, Baba agreed to preside over the meeting. Governor Pantan Tanupile, while inaugurating its Hyderabad branch, said, "I am glad one of the main objects of the Sabha is the fostering of scholarship by honoring the Pandits and thereby encouraging the study of the Vedas and the Sastras." Baba presided over a vast gathering of admirers and students when the Hindu Samaj at Rajamundry honored free all and revered revered masters of ancient learning, Bulusu Apana Sastri, Varanasi Subramanya Sastri, and Kuluris Somasiskra Sastri. During the Dasara festival 1965, Baba conferred upon this free and on Vidwan Dupati Tirumala Chalyulu of Vantagiri, the mark of appreciation the royal patrons used to confer in past ages, namely the Suvarna Kankana, or gem set golden bracelet. Everyone who saw the tender love in which he helped the old men to come on the stage, the delight he seemed to take in their achievement, and the solicitude with which he helped the governor to fit the jewels on the wrists of the recipients and cover their shoulders with the gold embroidered shawls, will cherish the scene as both inspiration and instruction. Pandit have good reason to welcome the Satya Sai era, for he is their Kalpataru come on earth. When a Pandit read before him some poems and he had composed about goddess Kamakshi of Kanchipuram, Baba created a golden image of that goddess and granted him the precious gift. When others offered him works of Yoga Vashista and Gita Bhashya that they had composed, Baba's grace provided them funds to publish them. Baba is Veda Mata. He cannot tolerate a Vedic scholar toiling with the sweat of agony on his brow, except, of course, when he is set on teaching a lesson, for he is a hard taskmaster, intent on maintaining the moral standard of those who claim to be mastered of the ancient scripture. For example, a Pandit from the East Godavari district was so desperate financially that in his despair he denied Baba's grace. He denied his wife's permission to grant to Baba, asking for succor. 2 days later, he was amazed to receive a letter from Baba, who was at Prashanti Nilayam, 800 miles away, in which he severely reprimanded him for it. Why did you tell her you have no permission? Do I not know? Can I know only when she writes or anyone writes? Do I not know, for example, that you went to Ramachandrapuram expecting to collect some little money for discourses on Gita, and that you return home having incurred loss? Do I not know that you then started condemning yourself, that all your learning was a waste, that all your experience was of no value? For me, who's providing for all this world, it is no burden to provide for you and your family. I'm placing all this hardship on you only to teach you a lesson. To teach you a few lessons. The following extract from the letter which the Pandit placed in my hands at Amalapuram indicates a lesson. When life flows merrily on, people claim that it is due to their own effort and they forget the Lord. When failure resists the flow, they start cursing and losing faith. When you grow desperate, you're insulting the Atma Tattva, the Atma principle, which you really are, that knows no pain, no or joy. You've become erudite in many subjects, but you do not try to derive the fruits thereof by putting them into practice. If only you have the faith that nothing can hinder the Atma Nanda, which is the life spring in every heart, how happy you can be. Just imagine how calm and collected you can be then. In your lectures to dilate on the Atma and the Ananda derivable by men who drill deep down into it. It is easy to adverse others when it comes to practicing that you recommend. You feel it an awful bother. Carrying all the Vedas, Sanskrit, Puranas, Idihasas, and Upanishad stuffed in your brain, all this wailing and anger do not become you. Instead of resorting to the most effective, specific for all anxiety, namely the name of the Lord, why do you waste time recapitulating on and lamenting over pain, fear, loss, and grief? Engage yourself in that which is enjoined as your duty. Your duty with your status demands. Do it courageously and gladly. Strive to gain the 4 Purusharthas. Then you can certainly experience the highest truth. Practice and earn the highest place. Do not decry the rich. No, not only the rich. Do not decry anyone in any manner. For remember, Sai is in every person. And so when you cry another, you're crying Sai himself. After this paternal but firm admonition, Baba closed the letter with a revealing colophon. Ni hridaya nishani. Hridaya nivasi. Sai. He who resides in your heart, Sai. This vigilant supervision of the workings of the inner consciousness of the Pandit who have come within his orbit is another of the many ways in which this Vedamata, providence which revealed the Vedas, seeks to promote Sanatana Dharma. For unless we have a brave band of Vedic scholars who live the Vedic life, the world cannot be enthused to honor and accept the Vedic teaching of fundamental oneness. For the call, follow my instructions and become soldiers in my army. I shall lead you on to victory. Then he made this grand declaration, this great call. When someone asks you in great earnestness where the Lord is to be found, do not dodge. Give them the answer that rises up to your tongue from your heart. Direct him to Puttaparthi and invite him to share your joy. While hosting the flag of Prashanti on the Nilayam on the 23rd November 1962, Baba referred to the Chinese who were pouring across the Himalayan valleys into the plains of India and announced, "My birthday festival will not be marred by any dispiriting news. You will only get positive, cheerful news. Sanatana Dharma will suffer no harm." And true to this declaration, the Chinese who were in the full flush of advance had started withdrawing from the midnight of the 22nd beyond the mountain ranges from some as yet undisclosed reasons. That evening, when Minister for Planning in the Andhra government opened a school donated by him in the village of Puttaparthi, Baba spoke on the colossal waste that education involves at present. Look at the village roads, the village home, the village children, and tell me whether 50 or 60 years of teaching the rules of health and hygiene has had any effect. If even these lessons affecting health and well-being of all life itself are thus neglected in practice, I need not say that other subjects laboriously taught in school produce even less effect. Baba pointed out the imitative trends which has cut children off from native currents of culture and made them ruthless and dry. You teach children nonsense rhymes like ba ba, black sheep, have you any wool, or Jack and Jill went up the hill, sustaining and elevating lines like Sudha Brahma, Paratpara, Kam Kalamatka, Kalatmaka, Parameshwari Ram, Parameshwara Ram, Ram the pure essence, the supreme beyond, Ram the time principle, the Lord of Lords, has been dismissed as out of date and burdensome. Of what worth is an India who has discarded its nature and become a fake Russia or a fake America? Make the country more really Indian, he advised, for the illness of greed, hurry, hatred, and conceit that this country, along with the rest of the world, is afflicted with. Those who plan the education of the children must get ready to teach them the first few steps in spiritual sadhana, silence, repetition of the name of the Lord, meditation on the creator of this wondrous universe, positive acts of service to others, detachment from demeaning habits. Dr. M. Chenna Reddy, the minister, referred during his presidential address to the pilgrimage that he had made to Shirdi a few weeks previous. I consider my coming to Puttaparthi so soon after as a piece of good fortune, for the Sai Baba of Shirdi has taken avatar here as Satya Sai Baba. He said, Baba told him as well as the gathering, I am all names, not only these two, Sai Baba, Satya Sai Baba. To call that manifestation Sai Baba or this as Satya Sai is only one of the many methods of designation. Then, as well as now, Sai is all names and all forms. Truly a glimpse of the universality of the divine. Baba invites us to seize this chance of his grace and save ourselves with alacrity. By seizing this chance, you can elevate yourself step by step steadily. A stomach ache or a fever, some loss or grief brings you to Prashanti Nilayam. You start liking this place and its atmosphere, the Omkara, the bhajan, the calm quiet that prevails. You see me and observe our movements, words, and actions. You leave with hope and courage, confidence and strength, with bhajan book and a picture perhaps. Before long, you forget the ache or fever, for it has either disappeared or lost its acerbity. You have developed a few ache for Prashanti, unshaken peace, for darshan, sparshan, sambhashan, for japa, dhyana, and sanskara, realization. Follow my instructions and become soldiers in my army. I shall lead you on to victory. Then he made this grand declaration, this great call. When someone asks you in great earnestness where the Lord is to be found, do not dodge. Give them the answer that rises up to your tongue from your heart. Direct him to Puttaparthi and invite him to share your joy. In December 1962, Baba was in Madras city. He inaugurated the Satya Sai Nivas, a prayer hall set in the center of Pirambal suburb, where there is the colossal industrial complex radiating from integral coach factory and the railway workshop. Baba said, "This is a lighthouse for this region to save those endeavoring to cross the ocean of samsara. It will point out to them the treacherous rock of greed and hate and signal the storms of wild egoism." In the very first week of 1963, on the 6th January to be exact, the Vaikunta Ekadasi had to be celebrated according to the calendar. Baba's calendar marks out the day as Amrita Pavam Day, when divine nectar emanates from his hand. This day is observed as the day when the gate of heaven are open for all in the great Vaishnavite temple Sri Rangam, where the Lord of Ranganatha, the director of world stage, is presiding over the drama of birth and death with a few scenes of living in between. For those who are near Baba, the Sri Ranganatha in human form, the gates of heaven open when he gives them the nectar he creates that day. On 6th January, Baba took many devotees to Mahabalipuram on the eastern sea, a place where the waves whisper to men wonderful tales of long ago. It is a place hallowed by centuries of history. Here, chisels held by deaf hands, inspired by karma yoga, directed by eyes sparkling in the light of bhakti yoga, trains the brain illuminated by jnana yoga, has shaped rebellious rock into rapture-filled idols. Then, when the party settled around Baba on the seashore and began singing bhajan songs, the wave must have recalled bygone days when the temple deities of Tamil Nadu were installed for worship on the seashore, and the shore was filled not with picnic-blinded cars, but with masses of devout hearts and humble seekers of God. They urged one behind the other in serried ranks to catch a glimpse of Baba and to hear the lift of the songs divine. Even the elephants, deer, and monkeys carved in stone strained to escape from the rock and sit around. Baba created that evening three charming idols of Vishnu, Narayana, and Krishna, and when the group of devotees around him was exulting over the love, the mute image of Arjuna doing penance must have turned and folded hands in a form of sudden inspiration to pay homage. The three idols, Baba explained, symbolized the sattvic aspect of God, the aspect that converts Amrita or immortality to men. Vaikunta is the place or stage of no kuntiha or dullness or stupidity, mutilation or misery. On the Ekadasi day, dedicated to the winning of the stage, the gates of Vaikunta open for those who have achieved success in the struggle for overcoming the handicap of ignorance. When the mind obeys the whims of the senses, you get bound. When the mind listens to the warning of its master, the buddhi or reason, you are saved. So train the mind to heed the intelligence and not the vagaries of the senses, Baba advised. After granting the devotees this Buddhamrinatam, Baba created the Amritam, which was generated by the Vedas, the Asuras, on that auspicious day by churning the ocean of milk, as described in the Bhagavatam. He gave it to all present with a warning that the tongue that has tasted Amritam must not be contaminated by Anritam, falsehood thereafter. Returning to Prashanti Nilayam, Baba called upon the devotees who had made it their home to follow the rigorous discipline that he had prescribed. This avatar has Bhakta Rakshana, the fostering of bhaktas, as one of his tasks. So strive to be bhaktas. Give me your mind fully and without reservation. Give it to me with all its fickleness and waywardness. This is the only thing you need to. Then you become bhaktas, you will be liberated from grief. Not only you, but every being in the universe has to be liberated and will be, Baba said. A few days later, the ceremony of initiation into Brahmacharya of about 30 boys was celebrated. Finding that 16 of them had not gone through the preliminary ear-piercing rite, Baba waved his hand and produced as many earrings, wires of gold as were needed. He himself pierced the ears of the novitiates. He gave each of them robes for the ceremony and the copper vessel they have to use. Brahmin priests had come from many towns accompanying the parents of the boys who were to be initiated. Baba spoke to them of the accretions that time has piled on the simple Vedic rite. He directed them to discard this exhibitionism, the social and convivial stress of the Vedic venture, and adhere to the simpler schedule that he had decided on. They gladly agreed. They were happy that Baba had come to separate the chaff from the grain. I shall be their mother, he said. But the priest suggested the mothers have to stand behind the boys during the rite. Some among the boys have lost their mothers. When they see other boys with mothers beside them, they will shed tears at their own misfortune. I do not want any boy to shed tears during the rite when he is being given the grace-destroying Gayatri mantra. So let us not have mothers near the boys. The mother has to pour the first handful of rice when the initiate starts his student career and says, Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi, Ma, give me alms. But Baba said, I shall be the mother. I shall fill their hands with gifts. What great fortune this. The Shivratri festivals were celebrated in the wake of the Upanayanams, the two lingams, one golden and the other crystal, emerged from Baba, having formed themselves in him, as is the wont since 1940. Baba explained that the linga was a mark of a symbol representing the merging of the particular in the universal, the dissolution of the mind with its agitation, aspiration, and accomplishment that attach and adhere in the Atma awareness. The wise realize that the mind and the vast phantasmagoria that it waves were all subsumed in the linga, in the beginningless, endless ocean of existence, knowledge, bliss. After Shivratri, Baba left for Rajamundry for presiding over a 3-day Adhyatmic spiritual festival of discourses. Hundreds of villages in the region around Rajamundry, the vast fertile deltic tract of Godavari River, were looking forward for this visit, which they hoped would be extended to their area too. But Baba announced that visit to other places had been postponed. All can, however, take darshan at Rajamundry during the meetings. Therefore, while Baba was monitoring along the Grand Trunk Road on the east coast of India towards the Godavari town, thousands were speeding towards the place from far and nearby car and omnibus train and boats, on cycles and rickshaw and by bullock carts. Trains puffed into the station, heavy with human throngs, and left it empty. For all were anxious to reach, and none were prepared to pass beyond or leave the town. All men who had seen the mammoth gathering that the river festival of Pushkaram attracts into Rajamundry saw that the record had broken into bits. Baba himself remarked on the 29th when he addressed the gathering, which was packed to bursting point, and the largest maiden of the town, that it was a reminder that Virata Swarupa itself, that is to say, the multitudinous manifestation of great unknowable, Baba had to change the venue to vast open spaces of the suburb where he could speak to them from a housetop that commanded the vast area. The fourth day of Baba's stay at Rajamundry was Ramanavami, the birthday of Rama, the avatar of God, worshipped as the embodiment of Dharma from Himalayan valleys of Kanyakumari homes. All India was fragrant with incense, tingling with temple bells that night. Baba sat that night on a patch of sand in the center of the broad river, as Rama must have sat long ago while he was on his peregrinations in the south. It was an epic hour, a turning point in the history of the world, for Baba announced in that hour his plan for the spread of propagation of the Vedic Dharma throughout India and the world.
It's outline.
Yes.
Thank you so much for reading this pious text. We shall conclude with Samasta Loka and Om Shanti Shanti. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.